Hi, today we're going to be talking about expediting claims. Who can qualify for an expedited claim? How long is this taking normally? Has AMA made a difference? And then we're going to go into hardship, homelessness, and other factors that can come into expediting a claim. So we hope you'll join us. Hi, and welcome back to Hill and Ponton's VA Disability Blog. I am Natalia Jofre, the company COO.
And I'm attorney Allison Reddick.
And as promised, today we're going to be talking about expediting claims. So I think, Allie, we need to start with the basics. On average, can you give us a ballpark? How long is it taking for a claim to get processed?
On average, no, I cannot give you a ballpark, but I can kind of let you know what I've dealt with.
Right.
So basically, for years, it has been taking years, multiple years to get appeals processed. The reason why this happened, I think, is because around 2014, the VA had so many claims that they're like, let's get as many of these as done as possible to show positive results. And yay, great, they did like 1 million claims, but a lot of the results were not positive. So what did that create? 1 million appeals. So it really created a backlog of appeals at the regional office and the board. So in Legacy, which was prior to the current administrative appeal process, which is the Appeals Modernization Act, which is AMA, in Legacy, it was taking 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5, 6, 7 plus years to get positive results or even a decision. Now, on February 19th of 2019, AMA came into effect. With AMA, their push is to get appeals and claims processed quickly. They say they want to get claims at the regional office decided within 125 days. Do I see that? Not really. A lot of the times at the beginning, we would see that, but it was because there was a duty to assist error, or it was just a flat out denial. Going back though, since we brought this in this new appeal process, AMA, well, we still have all the legacy claims too. So
one didn't completely replace the other, or they didn't say, fresh start, we're just going to do AMA now.
No, because a lot of the regulations changed and they couldn't take away or add regulations to those people who had already been grandfathered into the legacy program. So what they're doing now is they're trying to get rid of all the legacy claims so then they can consolidate all of the claims to AMA. The last meeting that we had with NOVA, which is the National Organization for Veteran Advocates, they told us that at the board, there are about 240,000 pending legacy claims and about 40,000 AMA claims. So there's still a huge backlog. But what they are trying to do is work those legacy claims to get everything into AMA. So that's the best ballpark I can give you.
Wow. We have clients ask us all of the time, can you make the VA go faster? And, that's I know a super loaded question. So I guess, can you tell us somewhat quickly, is that even a possibility?
With the Expedite claims, the type of expedited claims that we talk about, yes. It's a little bit, it depends on getting into contact with someone at the VA. At the board, basically you file for a motion to advance on the docket, and there's not really any way to push them. They're out of the VA. They're their own separate entity. And the judge will make a decision on whether to advance on the docket or not. Once they grant advancement on the docket, then, sometimes if a couple months have gone by, we may be able to try get movement on that, but it's really hard to advance at the board if you don't get your motion to advance on docket approved. At the regional office, it depends on where your claim is in the United States. It used to be where you lived, that's where your claim was. But now with AMA, your claim could be in Cleveland and you live in Florida.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're all over the place. They're working off of what's called a national work queue now. So basically, your claim goes into a queue, and they go through the queue and move the claims. They pick them out. Different offices will just pick claims out, and it's hard to know where your claims are. At the board, they also work off of a docket number. So both kind of work on a system. It's first come, first serve. It's based off of the date of your claim. So there are ways, but it's difficult, and the VA is going to do what they want at the speed they want.
Gotcha. So let's talk about the ways you can expedite a claim. I think that first and foremost, I know that there's two in particular that we get a lot, which are terminal illness and homelessness, but I think that we should go over all of the different possibilities. So tell us a little bit about terminal illness. Can you give us some examples and what happens if the veteran passes away while they're waiting on benefits? But yeah, talk to us a little bit about terminal illness.
So if you do have one of these criteria for expediting a claim, I think the four we'll talk about are terminal illness, advanced age, financial hardship, and homelessness. Then yes, you have a much better chance of getting the process to speed up. With terminal illness especially, what that is, it's you have a life-limiting illness, basically meaning that sometime in the near future, it will likely cause death or for you to be in an incapacitated state. Common conditions that we see would be ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, forms of advanced cancer where treatment isn't helping or improving, multiple organ failure like kidney failure. If you're in kidney failure, that's a common one. The way to show this would be your medical records. If you're in hospice, of course, that's indicative that you have a terminal illness, or have your doctor write a letter or document in your medical records that you are terminal. Then you would file that with a motion to advance on the docket at the board or a request to expedite at the regional office. And they really do try to push those cases. Which happens all the time, the veteran passes. Absolutely, there are ways for the surviving spouse. They can file for dependency and indemnity compensation, which is also known as DIC benefits, as well as accrued benefits, which means they can substitute in for any pending claims that the vet was working on before they passed. If there is no surviving spouse, if there are dependent children or dependent parents that qualify, they can substitute in as well.
Okay, great. You mentioned advanced age. So can you tell us a little bit about what that is and how it's handled differently in different offices?
Yes. So at the board, the advanced age is 75 or older. And at the regional office, it's 85 or older. I would think this is because the board has less appeals than the regional offices. So that's probably why they have a lower advanced age requirement. However, sometimes there are some regional offices that will take into account 75 or older. Not many, but on occasion they will. But normally it's 85 or older at regional office level and 75 or older at the board.
Okay. Financial hardship. Boy, do we see a lot of clients fall under this bracket. Homes in foreclosure, they're about to get evicted, utilities are shut off. I mean, the examples can go on and on. how do you qualify for an expedite based on financial hardship? What is considered extreme financial hardship?
So that's the way they look at it, is extreme financial distress. How do you define that? I mean, I think it's very subjective and it's looked on at a case by case basis. But overall, what it means is you don't have enough income, you don't have enough money to pay your mortgage or your rent, your utility bills, your medical expenses. But it could also mean that you're you're you don't have your bill, your electricity turned off, or you haven't been kicked out because someone else is paying for your bills. So let's
Hmm.
say you don't have enough money, but your daughter is paying for them, but that's causing her distress too. That's a way to show that you have severe financial distress as well. I think absolutely it's a case by case analysis, but the what you would do is you would submit evidence of past due bills, past due medical expenses, or a sworn statement of some that someone else is paying your bills, to show that you are in severe financial distress, and getting a decision would help you with your situation.
Is there any other assistance the veteran can receive while they're going through this hardship?
So I know that there are a lot of programs and resources for veterans. If we could put a link to our blog on Expedites, there are links and programs there that show, that point you in the direction to resources to help throughout your appeals process.
Okay. And then the last one, which unfortunately we see a lot throughout the United States, is homelessness. So, how does homelessness come into play with having a claim expedited?
Homelessness as well is taken very seriously by the VA. I would think the ones they take most seriously are terminal illness and homelessness, obviously, because those are the most distressing situations.
Right.
Basically, if you're in homeless status, that means that you don't have a regular residence that you can go to and sleep at night, whether you're sleeping outside, sleeping in your car, um, residing in a shelter, or couch surfing. People are letting you stay, a couple days here and there. You don't have a fixed home, so
Right.
that is what is considered homelessness, and they do really try to move those claims quickly.
Okay. Have you had claims that you've had to expedite or request expedite? And have you noticed, success with getting those claims expedited?
Yes. So advanced age, obviously, that's, you either are that age or not. They definitely move forward on those quickly. Terminal illness, we see a lot. I see end stage renal disease,
Mm.
advanced cancers. If you're, a lot of people in hospice, and they do really try to move those quickly. You just need to get in contact with someone who's going to help you move those claims. And then of course we see so many financial distress. It's, there are tons, but there's no strict definition like advanced age or terminal illness. It's so difficult. Sometimes they'll get granted and sometimes they won't, and it's really a case by case analysis of um, what they're going through.
Okay. All right. Well, this was very useful information. Thank you, Allison. And thank you for joining us. We hope that you'll do so again. But in the meantime, if you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to visit our website or call our office. Thank you.